Try as they might to break the internet, our two hosts have failed. But today, they may crack it on the episode of
Trapped Under Plastic, the podcast where we dip nuggets you've never heard of into sauces you could never understand. We have a guest today. His name is Bricky. Bricky, welcome to the show.
Is that always your intro?
No, we read a comment from one of our viewers. They give us a bunch of different intros to use, like kind of their goofy interpretation of the show.
Oh, the comment was of the intro.
Yeah.
Yes.
He riffed it, and then I read the comment.
Oh, interesting. Okay. I
little
thought that
one,
was
too.
just the opening of the show. And I was like, oh, this is sick. I like this. This is kind of my vibe. No, thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely.
Appreciate you both.
Absolutely.
It's good timing.
Absolutely. Can you let us know kind of a little bit about yourself and also where to find you on the internet?
Sure. I'm Bricky. We'll start with the easy part. You can find me at Bricky basically everywhere, except for whoever that you guys swear on this?
Of course.
Yeah.
That bastard who has Bricky on Instagram. But besides that, Twitter, YouTube, everything in between. It's all Twitch. It's all Bricky.
Okay.
I make dick jokes on the internet, and that's like my general vibe. Normally in the background there's like some kind of gameplay of something or another. I don't know,
But mostly it's the dick jokes.
Most it's dick jokes. Okay. You come for the dick jokes, you stay for the Amazing Winter Soldier gameplay.
Okay.
That's where it goes from there.
Okay.
But past that, it's just, I don't know, 10 years of video game shenanigans.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, we're glad to have you here, and we're glad to dive in a little bit about your interest in 40K a little bit later on. But let's get into the Preamble Ramble, which is kind of just like a section for us to discuss hobby-adjacent things kind of going on in our lives. If you have funny stories, quips, that's what we're going to do here.
Yeah, hobby adjacent is a stretch sometimes.
Yeah, it is, yeah.
But we'll get to the more hobby stuff. But what we found is that by and large, much like your videos, the actual topic of this podcast is oftentimes not the hobby. So I'll just lead us right in there, and I'm going to talk about chainsaws.
Okay.
I got a new chainsaw for Christmas, and now it's warm outside. And I don't know about you guys, but there's something that feels good about chopping up wood with a piece of machinery that could end your life in the blink of an eye.
Yeah, no, it's the same kind of feeling that people get when they hold like some large weapon, like a big axe or like a firearm. It's like this. I have power.
Yes,
I have real power in my hands.
Yeah.
And now that it's warm, it's just one pull.
Yeah, one pull. Yeah.
Do you feel like a space marine with it? Like a giant chainsword?
One of my videos a couple years ago, I have a pole saw, which is it's basically a chain spear, a chain glaive, I believe. I was actually on the internet. It's like a 18-inch chainsaw blade on the edge of a pole that I can extend up to 30 feet. And so I had a shot of Daryl in the woods wielding it like he was going into battle.
Yeah, Daryl has his redneck persona.
No, it's my cousin. He lives in my shed.
Oh, sorry, yes.
Yeah, so Daryl was out in the woods chopping up stuff with a chain glaive. This is the logical chainsword next step.
Okay.
Does Daryl come out in like a full moon only, or is it like
usually it's after dark.
John's not here anymore, Mrs. Torrance?
Yeah,
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's so I'm just it's pure chainsaw season in my neck of the woods. So.
Dude, I love chopping up with an axe. Let me tell you, like a sledge axe, like the heavy head one. That's just so satisfying. I don't know. It's just great.
A wood splitter?
Yeah, absolutely.
You can come over and chop wood anytime you want, my brother.
Deal.
Maybe we can have a bonding moment with the three of us after this. We can come down. We can all split wood with our shirts off.
Don't you two be splitting without me?
No,
Yeah.
Don't you be chopping? Don't you be doing nothing without wood? without me? Excuse me. You invite me over
You
here.
said he's doing it. The dick jokes, they're happening.
Yeah, it was right there. Well, you gave me the Necronomicon pillow to cover my junk, and now I'm thinking to myself about all the wood that we're going to be splitting. So I'm glad we got the pillow.
All right. I am currently running a Star Wars RPG campaign. In the last episode, I talked about I had a long time to prepare for this first session we were going to do. And so I made a fancy note where on the back of the note, there's this Imperial report. And the point of that was for my players to read the note and kind of, see what it's on, but then flip it over and read the other side that's supposed to be like the discarded side to get extra information about the mission they're about to go on. It felt so cool. I made it in Photoshop. I distressed it by crumpling it up and putting it in my pocket for a while. I put dirt on it. I made it look so freaking cool. I gave them the note, which has, a written note on one side, which is relevant to what's going on. They got like a bag of Star Wars lightsaber parts. And so the letter is like, enjoy these parts. But the real info is on the back. And none of those motherfuckers.
They didn't turn it around?
They didn't turn it. So the guy I handed it to looked at it for 2 seconds and then turned it back and set it down. I was like, no, dude. I felt I felt very defeated in that moment.
I mean, you know, I always say like gamers don't look up.
Yeah.
In every single video game, it's like they were developing Portal. They were like, gamers will literally not look up. You have to trail their vision upwards if you want them to look up, or they will not do it. You didn't say, you didn't tell them it's two-sided.
Yeah, okay. I should have done that.
He's like, oh, nice. He just shoves it down. I was like, do you have a cocktail menu? You don't turn the menu over.
Yeah, right. So yeah, I'm always like on the fence about like how much I should railroad like RPG players to like get them to do what I want them to do. I kind of want them to kind of discover it for themselves so it feels cool. But I didn't know what to do in that moment. What would you have done?
People are dumb is the first thing. What I would do is, so I would hand them out individually, right? You gave them a whole stack to one player?
It was just one shred of paper that was like, it was like a note written from a previous player who was giving them like a gift. And so like the note was like, here you go, like here's your stuff. You know,
Okay,
so it was one thing, I gave it to one person.
Oh, in my head, you had an individual one for each one, or copies of the note for each person. So they're ups your chances by the number of players you have if they each have their own. So then one of them, because if like we're all basically just, you know, slightly evolved monkeys. So if I see you look at the thing and flip it over, I'm not even going to bother because I already saw you do it and you saw it was nothing. So give them all the chance to interact as it goes around the table. Okay. That's the first thing. The second thing would be once you got into the game and you realized that they weren't interacting, I would have something in the world give a little breadcrumb trail about some missing high importance data.
Ooh.
Right?
God damn it, John. You're so fucking good at this. I feel like he's been DMing for like 35 years, and I've been doing it for like maybe like 8 months. And so I bring all my problems to him during the podcast in this like RPG corner kind of thing.
It's therapy session.
And he has all of the answers.
Well, I mean, when you think about it, I mean, if the players don't see it and you lose that information, you find a way to reincorporate that information later on that they can find naturally.
Yeah.
Or you start it off easy and say they hand you a two-sided piece of paper.
Right?
And then from there, it's like, well, that's kind of their fault at that point.
Yeah, right. Because it had like the fucking Imperial letterhead on the back.
It had a logo on it and everything. And I was like, this is going to be so sick. Nope.
Well, so you just went on with it with nothing? Or?
So I found other ways to give them the information, but I withheld a decent chunk of it that's on that paper because I feel like if they ever do look at it later on, I want them to like gain something from it and have it not all be redundant. So I'm withholding some information, which will be mildly punishing when they go into this thing without knowing it, but they know enough to like not get totally like housed the moment they end up on this planet called Femis. So I gave them some of the info, but not all of it in that letter.
You could David Blaine this a little bit too. You could like, does that person still have it? Like use it as a bookmark?
So like he wasn't going to take it. I was like, oh, this is yours to keep. And like I put it on the Imperial Report side up. And he put it in his like, little RPG notebook and closed it and walked off. And I'm like, oh, God. Maybe he'll like open it and look at it later.
He trips and then it flies out of his notebook and he sees the side that wasn't originally there. And then
the camera pans in slowly.
Yeah.
I would see like maybe at a future session, you'd be like, oh, just, you know, nonchalantly. Oh, did you still have that sheet? I wanted to check something. I had a question. I can't remember if I added that or not. You look at it, you hold it up like this, and so a different player can see the backside.
Okay.
And you just like, you know, and then you put it back down, like give them more exposure to it without, you know, fucking spoiling the whole thing.
Yeah. Are you into RPGs at all?
So I did D&D for quite a bit with my friends, but it was like all pre-COVID in-person type thing.
Okay.
And it was always great stuff, but it was also like me and a bunch of 21-year-old dudes.
Okay.
And so the campaigns devolved very quickly.
Yes.
Into references to video games, movies, and we were very into the Dark Knight Rises.
Okay.
So we were very much like Bane posting for a lot of it.
Oh, right.
And so we had multiple characters named CIA and things like that. and we went really bad into it. But I do enjoy it. I don't have the time I would like to, which I believe is everyone's problem.
Right.
For the most part. But I have, and you know, it's like boss babying it right now, where it's like, you guys know the boss baby phrase,
Yes.
you know?
No. I mean, I know there's like a movie or something like that.
Guy who has only ever seen Boss Baby. This thing is giving me real Boss Baby vibes.
Okay.
It's
I'm lost right now.
It's a colloquialism I use a little bit to be like, I don't want to bring everything back into the Warhammer world because that's the thing I'm in right now.
Okay.
But the first thing I think about at the moment is I was doing a lot of the Rogue Trader RPG.
Yes.
And I was looking into it and I was like, I really like this system. It seems very interesting, very fun. And so I kind of want to run a campaign there.
Okay.
Are either of you familiar with Narrative Declaration?
Narrative declaration.
Zoran the Wizard or Zoran the Bear. He's a little VA.
No.
Runs a bit of a Pathfinder group.
Okay.
And he's a big Pathfinder guy, and I keep kind of looking into it because I think D&D 5e's combat is so egregiously long, and it makes me lose my mind. So I want to try getting Pathfinder to try to smooth out that process, and from there hop into possibly other kind of universes because you're doing Star Wars.
I am, yeah. Force and Destiny is the name of the system. But I'm curious, what was like one interesting thing about that Rogue Trader system that you found?
So I like the fact that the character creation there goes through all of the various aspects of Warhammer stuff, whether it's like Hive City mutation, being a psyker is a big one.
Yes.
But what I particularly love is that let's say you cast like a psychic spell, you roll a D100, and it's psychic phenomena.
Okay.
And so sometimes it's nothing, sometimes it's like some ghostly apparitions, the room gets cold, but after a certain number you get perils of the warp, and then that can be all kinds of horrible things. But one of them is just like dies. You just like, oh, I rolled like 100 on this. Dang it, I rolled another 100. You just get sucked into the warp and like eaten, and your character is no more. Okay. And it's just like small things like that, which obviously I'll probably flub that roll a little bit if it's a character I like.
Yeah. Sure.
But it's just very little bits like that, and then it's evading the Inquisition is a whole thing, and like it's very in depth, and I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Okay, it's like dripping with like 40K like flavor.
Yeah, I mean, like, did either of you play Rogue Trader?
No.
Like the original 40K game?
No, the new one that came out.
Oh, no, I haven't.
No,
Is it like a board game?
No, it's a CRPG.
Oh, okay.
It came out 3 months after Baldur's Gate 3, and therefore
Fell off the
Bad
radar.
timing.
it's fantastic. It maybe is the best universe of Warhammer I've seen.
Okay.
But it follows it's the exact same system as the Rogue Trader RPG.
Okay.
Oh.
And so it follows all of those systems, all of those skill points, all those abilities, and it's very, very good. But it's an Owlcat game.
Okay.
So it's like never fully done. And so 6 months now, your playthrough might be different. It's like, I got to start a new playthrough. And then,
So everything under the hood is running the same mathematical systems that the tabletop game did.
Yeah.
Yes. With, I'm sure, some adjustments. Sure. But for the most part, yeah.
That's I'm gonna have to check that out because that sounds kind of my jam. So.
It is just Baldur's Gate. I mean, nothing is Baldur's Gate because nothing can be Baldur's Gate. Yeah. But it is basically it feels very similar just in the Warhammer coat of paint.
Okay.
And more of the classic CRPG top down, like Pathfinder, like Wrath of the Righteous and stuff. Because same devs. So.
Okay.
No, it's good.
I tend to struggle with CRPGs, which is bizarre because I don't like turn-based video games, but obviously I like fucking love tabletop gaming and board games, which is like inherently turn-based. Whenever I get into the video game realm, I just like can't tolerate slowing down and not being real time. I don't know what it is, but I've never played a CRPG like ever.
Maybe it's just expectation. You're in for the video game for some kind of like action-based thing.
Yeah.
And so kind of like you have a different reasoning for it.
Maybe, yeah. But like I would love to be able to enjoy Baldur's Gate because people say so many positive things about that. Or this game you're referencing right now, but I just feel like I don't even give it a chance.
I mean, Baldur's Gate's worst aspect is its combat because it's D&D 5e.
Yeah.
And it takes forever.
Okay.
Right.
But, that's its own issue. But, no, it is a solid time. I would highly recommend Rogue Trader because it's one of those types of things that you don't appreciate unless you really know the level of lore because it's very like aristocracy and stuff. And so I would recommend it.
Okay. All right. Very cool. All right. We have some more items here in the Preamble Ramble from John. Looking at Golden Demon ideas.
Oh, fuck yeah. Darn it. Yeah, so I recently in our the triumvirate group chat, I posted a picture of a model that caught my fancy. And I'm not ready to share what it is yet, but usually it takes me a good 3 to 6 months after the Golden Demon run to feel properly hyped. And this year, I've thought that I wanted to learn ZBrush for sculpting, and I still think that I might, just simply for base sculpting, right? Because there's this whole other world of crafting the location to feel appropriate to the universe, appropriate to the scene, and it doesn't look like you smashed a bunch of kitty litter and fucking cork on a plinth. And it's one of those things that the more you build complex bases, the more you can like see the matrix of like, I see exactly how you made that and it doesn't feel real to me. And seeing these 3D printed, sculpted, beautiful bases, I'm just like so in love with. But just talking about what Bricky said earlier about what we don't have is time. When we were young, we didn't have the money for all these cool things. And now that we're old, we don't have the time for all these cool things. Like where the hell am I going to learn this entirely new complex thing, which is digital sculpting? But I found a model that excites me, and I'm starting to envision a scene. And so it's happening early. I'm sorry, it's happening early.
He's getting sucked in early.
Getting sucked in early. Hey, Bricky, are you familiar with Golden Demon at all? Are you keep an eye on that passively?
I am familiar with Golden Demon. I have very clearly never entered, and I do not plan to. I think I am a perfectly fine painter, and that is the farthest we will go. But no, I do keep an eye on it. I look at some of the stuff. I hear occasionally about like the drama once in a while. But I know one of the big ones, one of my favorite Golden Demon entries, I forget who it was, but it was a Knight Valiant, one with a big harpoon. And he was just doing this kind of like shoulder check through this field or whatever. And I don't know, there was just something about it where I looked at it and I was like, that looks real.
Yeah.
Is this recent or is it?
No, maybe like 3 years ago or so.
Okay, but it was in motion though.
I mean, he was literally like walking forward, like running here with the arm out, and for like a knight, you know, like 1 foot forward. Like, clearly, lots of the joints were messed with, right?
Okay,
It was gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. And the more I kind of looked into it, the more you look at the miniature and you're like, you don't even begin to understand how that happened.
You can really pour over a lot of those models for like 20, 30 minutes each, just seeing all of these small details. And then they're like Easter eggs. Like in John's entry, there was like this whole underground cavern of like rats, and like they're like, you can see their glowing eyes in the background, and there's like green glow down there, and it's like this is so much stuff going on each piece, especially the bigger ones, and so like they're really amazing.
Do you have your entry? I don't know if I saw it.
Oh, I got pictures.
Yeah, please.
I have pictures.
Yeah,
I should have.
He's too scared to travel with it though.
I brought it last.
I'm terrified to travel with it. I'd be terrified of that.
I brought it the last episode with the show, so you can scan through there. But there's some pictures of him.
Oh hell!
Yeah, as Vizek Scour.
Dude, this I saw it when they launched this model, and I was like, this is fantastic. Like just the visual of it. But then I saw the little rat with the warp stone on the shoulder pads, and then that's when I was like, yep, this is it.
Yeah, he's like the size of a freaking He-Man action figure too. So I grossly underestimated how big this was and how much time it was going to take to paint.
Damn, dude.
But he's he's my baby. So
How'd you do?
I got a silver.
Hell yeah.
Golden Demon.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah.
Who was the bastard you lost to?
The guy who won the Slayer sword. So
The guy won best in show.
he had the big pigeon. So but if you're gonna lose,
fuck that guy.
lose to the best. Yeah.
You got it, Ricky. You got it.
Yeah.
It's the moral thing.
Yeah, where were you right after the awards ceremony? That's the kind of feedback I immediately needed.
No. See, that's the thing. Though, you go to the winner, like, dude, this is so great. Good job on your win. What hotel room are you at again?
Oh man, but yeah, there's a whole side, and that's one thing about this hobby that is so fucking interesting is that there's massively deep rabbit holes on multiple aspects of this hobby, which is so unique. I think it's one of those things that really makes what we're so interested in stand apart is that we're doing, in many ways, to an outsider, we're doing the same thing, and we're also doing vastly different things.
Yeah.
And so to us, from like, oh, seeing what Bricky does is like, wow, that feels so different, but it's all fucking Warhammer, and we're all doing Warhammer. It's a wild world, and that's just why I love it. It's something I would maybe get into here in a little bit later into our main topic, but that's it. Golden Demon is fresh on my mind, and also more 3D printing. You do 3D printing and all, Bricky?
So I don't myself, mainly because I'm terrified of it, and I don't have the skills of it nor the space.
Okay.
But I do have a bunch of buddies who do that, and I do occasionally hire some friends of mine who do 3D sculpting.
Oh.
So I got myself some Atramentar Lion shoulder pads
Okay.
for my Night Lord Terminators. I'm friends with one of like the lead concept artists at Blizzard. Because it's like 10 minutes from my house.
Awesome.
And he was like, I just don't like the way Trajan looks, so I like made a new one.
Okay.
and I look at the new Trajan, he's got this big forward like moving thing with like the axe in the hand and the cape is flying out, and I'm just like, you son of a bitch. like imagine it's like, oh yeah, I just made a new Trajan.
I know. That's such an amazing skill to have. I feel like if I could like just pick one skill to have, it'd probably be either concept art or like just sculpting, just to like realize something like that, and then print it out and have it. Like that's such an amazing skill. I love that.
It's absolutely wild. He got into Warhammer like right at the start of 10th, and he got a Tyranid army. It looks better than like any of my armies because he just airbrushed the entire thing. It's this gorgeous thing. It's like the artists.
Okay.
Right. How quickly they can just pick up a brand new skill, but it's in the art field, and you're just like,
yeah,
like, oh, nice.
it's instantaneously. But no, I love the guy. But he is the one I normally talk to whenever I have kind of 3D printing interests.
Mm-hmm.
He has this really interesting resin mixture. It's like Sun Lu and Tenacious something.
Okay. Yeah.
So
yeah.
You can kind of just like toss the miniature, and it just kind of bounces.
Yes.
And
yes.
so it's very kind of like bendy, flexible. I absolutely love it.
Yeah.
He did a bunch of. The Tyranny Warrior kit is a little bit too dated, so I made some new ones. And they look identical to the Space Marine 2 ones, and they just gorgeous models. Those are on 50 mils.
Like this, like the base size.
Yeah,
that's kind of massive.
They're huge.
Yeah.
And so I got like a bunch like the 2.6 squads. They're giant, but they look gorgeous. So so no, I don't do any 3D printing myself, but a lot of friends,
connections.
Yeah, in SoCal, there's plenty of folks around.
Yeah. Did you play Space Marine 2 at all?
I did.
Did you enjoy it?
I did.
Okay. Is there more to that?
Yeah. I played it. I was like, this is a pretty darn good game. I liked it. I thought the campaign was a bit weak.
Okay.
I thought that they had a lot of like plot threads that didn't go anywhere, and it was a little meandery at times and stuff like that. So I was like, plot's kind of weak. 6 out of 10 on the plot, but the gameplay's really, really good, et cetera, et cetera.
Mm-hmm.
Was not people's favorite friend during that time.
Oh, okay. Because you were saying something dissenting about the game.
Correct.
Okay.
And then we know Warhammer players and how zealous they can be on this stuff.
Oh, yes.
Absolutely.
So no, I was for about a good 2 weeks. I was public enemy #1 in the Warhammer world for that.
Okay.
And it was quite humorous. It was well, no, it wasn't humorous. It sucked, but but we moved on with it. It was a little bit of a wake up call.
In a retrospect, it was pretty humorous, but in the moment,
I mean, it was a bit of a wake up call. I kind of had to remind myself that like, oh yeah, like people get like about video game opinions, they get wild.
Yeah.
And so it kind of made me remind myself about that. Like, oh yeah, people are crazy.
Yeah. But if you don't stick true to what you really believe and what you stand behind, like, then what do you have to stand on eventually, even if it makes some people upset? It's like, that's your voice, and people attach themselves or like your content because of your voice, and that doesn't mean you can please all the people all the time.
Took me a little bit to figure that one out.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
At first, I was kind of like, damn, like, did I do something wrong? Because like this is the most heat I've got in my whole career, and it's over Space Marine 2. And I was like,
really? So this is kind of a serious thing.
It was like death threats, the whole thing.
Holy shit!
Oh yeah, man.
Really? For saying it was a 6 out of 10 in the plot of Space Marine 2? Get a fucking life, people.
I liked it, but I didn't like it enough. But no, that's why I was like, I had to have done something wrong. Like, there's no way it could be this bad.
Right.
And so I kind of like, I did like a little follow-up video after I played like 100 hours of the game, and I was like,
100 hours?
Yep. I was like, I still kind of feel the same about the plot, but like, maybe I was a little bit too negative in the review. Here are some things I really did like on the thing. And then like 6 months later, I was like, nah, these people are stupid. No, like it's fine. It's fine.
I love that.
So I went through a whole arc in like half a year.
Okay. Okay.
Is it too late for you to do a third part of this trilogy, and it's just like a 10-second video where you say, all right, I'm sorry, guys. I liked the game. I just liked it more when it was called Gears of War 3.
I did like Gears of War 3 quite a bit. Gears of War 2 came out, and they had like Horde mode for the first time. Oh, the amount of time of my life was sunk away.
Yeah.
Ridiculous.
Something that's so punishing and yet so satisfying while you're going through hell. That's good.
Yep, absolutely. But no, all those jokes aside, I did like Space Marine 2. I thought it was pretty good. I'm still waiting for like my real magnum opus game.
Okay.
I'm waiting for like the first 3 chapters of Horus Rising, where Garvio Loken is like determining the conquering style of the Imperium and what they're doing, and like all those mental the gymnastics they go through. I'm waiting for like that part, because Warhammer for me, I love that, where they take these like really deep themes and mentalities, and then they cross-reference it with like 700-pound dudes like punching a football hooligan orc in the face. Like that juxtaposition is exactly why I like it, and so that's a lot. So I'm waiting for that.
Okay.
I don't think we have that quite yet.
Like a video game in that theme.
I want some tough themes.
Okay.
I want some hard themes about like, just the general imperial colonialism, and like how the Space Marines are like just like monsters, barely human anymore. Like, how does that affect their mind? I need some of that.
Okay. I find myself not caring very often about story in video games and mostly focusing on gameplay. But I know you're very into the gaming. Did you discover that the story and the appreciation of the story kind of came later in your gaming career, like when you kind of got like really into it, or was that kind of a thing that you immediately attached to as a gamer early on?
I think I've always liked solo games more, single player games more. Growing up, I really enjoyed things. Well, I guess the story is a little bit not as big on those ones, but like Metroid Prime, was a huge one growing up, right? All the Halo games were really big for me, especially because my parents let me have Xbox Live for a bit because I was like 9. It makes sense. So all I did was replay story games.
Yeah.
But eventually, like my biggest thing was just playing Mass Effect. I played the Mass Effect trilogy over a dozen times.
I've only played 2, not 1 or 3. There's a third one, right?
There's a third one. There is the third one.
I've only played 2 for some reason.
It's not a perfect trilogy at all, but it was formative years of my time, and I absolutely love them. And so I kind of got really more into that. And I think as I started getting more into like the YouTube side of things, I started wanting to like dissect like gaming stories and be like, this part was really, really good, but this part could have used a little bit more here, and this is fantastic, and then et cetera, et cetera. And so I start to get I can get a little bit, kind of be like a nitpicking asshole sometimes.
Okay.
Definitely. I can 100% be like, get kind of that way. But I try to be fair about it.
Okay.
And so I think the issue is that negative sentiment will always overweigh positive sentiment.
Yeah.
So if you're like 60 happy, 40 unhappy, it'll feel like a far more negative review.
Right.
But I try to give credit where it's worth. And you guys ever play Uncharted?
Yes.
Uncharted. No, I haven't.
Did a whole series on every Uncharted game. Nathan Drake, and going through every part of it, and those things did well because Uncharted's kind of stupid.
Yes,
and so because of that, it was like, oh, it's kind of fun to point at it, but also be like, this is actually really good. Did you play the fourth one?
No.
Oh, it's the best one.
Really?
The fourth one is like in a way the best of all of them.
Really?
Like by a country mile.
Okay. All right. I gotta add that to my list
Absolutely.
of stuff to buy after this too. I'm gonna have so many video games I'm gonna have to buy after this.
That one
episode.
It's so good.
I loved the Uncharted games because they had this general feel of like an Indiana Jones ripoff where it doesn't take itself too seriously. It like the actual action itself, it was very satisfying, but it was just kind of this like, this is a popcorn flick of a game, but really well done. And so, all right, I'll get number 4.
It is more than I ever expected it would be.
Okay,
let's talk about video games the entire time.
Yeah, I mean, we got those.
I want to know you mentioned something that was kind of cool as a topic, but I want to know your video game. Like, what was the video game that gripped you growing up? I'm just curious. I think I know what it is.
Oh, okay. So I'm old, Bricky. I don't know if you know.
I was about to say, are we going to have a generational gap here?
Yeah, we are. So, growing up, before I even remember, we had an Atari 2600. But then then my brother got, for his birthday, he got the original Nintendo Entertainment System. And my dad worked for IBM, so he knew like computer nerds and people that like grown ass men that like video games, which in the like early to mid 80s was much less common than it is today. And he said these are the 2 games that you need to get for your son to get with a Nintendo, and it was Legend of Zelda: Link's Awakening. The Zelda 2 and Final Fantasy 1. So before the advent of video game guides or even us understanding that Nintendo Power was a thing, my brother and I would sit for hours and hours and hours and try to figure out how to beat Final Fantasy 1 on the original NES. Wow. And so there's a formative like kind of like core memory relationship bonding with your older brother kind of a thing tied in there too, which is like, later on, we had our own, scuffles and stuff. He's an older brother. He was a jackass, but whatever. But it was just like us in this fantasy world, which that was just like a core memory of like why I loved fantasy, why I love sword and sorcery, why I, got into all these 80s movies that were exploring that kind of theme. So yeah, it was definitely OG Final Fantasy. And that's why why my core story is different than yours is from the very beginning. It was turn-based RPG combat.
Okay.
And that
was your
like,
expectation.
That was my expectation. Okay. And the understanding of strategy and situational awareness and having a few more seconds to think through my thoughts on what is the best way to approach a thing.
Okay.
Instead of always shit's always flying at me, and just pull down, hold down RT, just hold down RT, right?
Yeah. Okay, I wasn't allowed to get a console as a child. Like the first console I bought about my own money was a PS2, and I like played like 2 games on it, like Metal Gear Solid 3 and like Prince of Persia or some random shit, you know. But before that, the first real game I played was Warcraft 3: Reign of Chaos, so RTS. And so from RTS, I got into Battle.net, played custom games, discovered Dota, and I've been playing Dota for the last 20 years of my life.
You still play Dota?
Absolutely. I love MOBAs. I had a long stint in Han, but now I've come back to Dota. I love Dota. I love the international. I love esports. I follow that super closely. So I play a lot of MOBAs, but I also love FPS. The channel before it was about miniatures, this very same channel, same URL, was a channel dedicated to the video game Crisis 2 and Crisis 3. And so I just made like games about like, this is the gun I use. Remember like Machinima and like Sea-Nanners and Husky and shit like that?
Oh, that was my formative. How old are you again?
I am 33. I'm 33.
Okay, I'm 29.
Okay.
I'll be 30 in
You're 29?
I'll be 30 in June. Don't worry. I'll be 30 in June next month.
Yeah.
Don't worry.
Okay.
That's because I was like, this is exactly what I grew up with.
Yeah.
Exact same thing. Machinima, all the Sea-Nanners folks, Hutch.
Like top 10 like kills.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
like, so like
Inside
that was my
Halo.
channel, but like only for Crisis game. Like,
Gotcha.
that kind of
Okay.
stuff. But yes, that's kind of my thing. Like, so like very fast-paced video games, MOBAs, RTSs are very like, very clicky, like high action per minute, and FPSs are the same kind of thing, but a little bit more focused in. So that's kind of my upbringing.
You played Deadlock?
No.
Deadlock.
The Valve FPS MOBA
FPS
merge?
MOBA,
No,
yeah.
I haven't, but I would love to try it out.
I have played it quite a bit.
Is it good?
I think it's phenomenal.
Okay, awesome.
But it's also very early on, so we have to wait a little bit.
Okay, all right, cool.
That's so funny. Wait, so how long have you been doing YouTube then?
I have been doing, so in January, so a ways away, it'll be my 10th year of doing this hobby channel.
Okay.
And then before that, I probably did the Crisis stuff for maybe like 3 or 4 years, but it was kind of on and off during college.
Okay, so it's been about 13, 14 years.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay, because I got my 10-year anniversary in this February.
Nice.
But that was 2015. But the that was a little after Machinima and stuff. Right? A little bit past that whole point. We're making sure we're past like the all the inside halos and then the achievement hunters and all that stuff, right? What about yourself, John?
I don't know how long has it been, Scott.
So we started this podcast before your channel was a thing, and I think your channel came along maybe like a year or a year and a half later.
Oh, yeah, I started during COVID. So
Okay, so 4 to 5.
yeah, so it was I think my first upload was like beginning of September 2020. So we're coming up on 5 years. Is that real? It doesn't seem real, but yeah, that's how long my channel's been.
Gotcha.
But then we started this podcast, like a year and a half prior.
Yeah.
So
Fortunate timing.
Yeah.
Immediately hit with a stay-at-home order right after that.
Yeah. Actually gave you some extra time maybe to work on the YouTube channel when you wouldn't normally have it because you were at home a little bit.
Yeah, that was it. Well, it's because I was forced to work from home for my job, and then we had a forced furlough. So it was like, you have to work for this week and a half, and then the next week and a half you're laid off. And then it was that way for like 4 months. And I was going batshit crazy, so I'm just like, I got to find something to do with my time so I don't lose my goddamn mind. And so I started a YouTube channel, and that was it. So
nice.
But yeah, for us here, it's like, we did like virtual a couple episodes. We mostly were just like, we were in our own quarantine homes, and we'd only see each other. So fuck it.
Yeah.
We're going to come record in person.
Yep.
So we always found that doing it in person, we just our own energy and stuff, we kind of build off each other. But not that we wouldn't do virtual, but this was that was kind of the way it always was from the beginning, down in Scott's basement.
Oh yeah.
We had a table between us that was a door. It was just a door that he sprayed.
It's the same door out there right now. Yeah.
He just spray painted the door black, and we sat across the table and the door.
Yeah.
The camera pointed at us, and we talked about fucking painting miniatures. So
I mean, I pirated a Sony Vegas when I started.
Hell yeah, who doesn't, dude?
I got a camera off Craigslist and duct taped it to my textbooks.
Yes.
So it was above the monitor, I
love that.
Hey guys, welcome back to episode 40 of League of Legends. And,
Oh yes, League of Legends. Oh no.
I did like 5 years of League content. Yeah.
Yeah, because you and I know you're affiliated with Magikarp Used Fly in some way, and I know he had a huge League channel, right?
Yes. We started. So he was the big League guy that I was a fan of way when I first started, and then we met and then hung out and became friends after that, and then and so we did a lot of League content together. 20 2016, 2017 kind of era. Season like 4 or 5 League of Legends.
Okay.
We had a bunch of the old YouTube series and stuff, but that was kind of that and CS:GO. Those are my Those are my starting games.
CS:GO. Okay.
Those are my starting games, and then eventually I kind of trailed off, and I did a whole bunch of other random stuff, like I got big into Dead by Daylight, and I played a lot of For Honor for some reason.
Okay, I love the idea of For Honor, and I tried to play it, and holy cow, like I was getting vanquished left and right.
The skill ceiling is enormous.
I know. I mean, in fighting games in general, and I've never played a fighting game before. That was my first one ever, and
fighting game.
Sure, yeah. I guess adjacent, but yeah, I was getting destroyed. But I love the idea of it, like a fighter game that's like fantasy based with swords and boards.
Yes.
You know, it's awesome.
It was a lovely time when I enjoyed it, and then it wasn't. But that's a whole other side of it. But yeah. So we I'm assuming you. Did you talk to Matt when we
we've chatted a couple times. Yeah.
Okay, I don't quite remember because that was technically like during COVID. So in a sense, that was 5 years ago.
Yep.
So I wasn't quite sure like to the extent that you guys all hung out.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, let's get into the next segment, which is just basically us chatting about what we've hobbied on in the last 2 weeks. Have you done any painting recently, or have you been traveling too much?
I've done
the Funigan, right?
The Fugan, yeah.
Fugan. I'm sorry. You're gonna have to train us a little bit on 40K.
That's perfectly fine. No, the Fugan. Yes, I was at eBay Miniature Rescue's place, Casey, and we were starting off the whole video that we're doing, and the reason why I'm here. And yeah, we were painting up a couple of the Phoenix Lords, and so we were working on Lycus. He was teaching me how to do airbrushing properly, how to do some Zenithals, how to just do the right amount of airbrushing to save myself like literal days of time. And then so I started painting up Fugan. Yeah, okay. And it was and that probably is the only painting I've done in the last 3 months.
Okay. Is there any way we can see that right now? Could you go grab it for us so we can take a look at it?
It's at the hotel.
Okay, all right. That's totally fine.
But besides that, I have done a lot of building.
Okay.
Ironically, I like the building more than the painting.
You know why that is?
No clue.
Okay.
I think I grew up with Legos, and maybe
sure.
So. Also, there's something like I open up the Tamiya thin cement, I'm like, ooh, yeah. It's almost like a Zen moment. It's like, oh, I'm back to building my miniatures. I'm at my happy place.
Yeah.
That's how you feel alive. Suddenly, you just don't feel alive unless you get that smell every 30 minutes.
I take a couple brain cells out.
Each time.
But so I'm building up my whole Emperor's Children army.
You got the new kit?
The new house?
I don't have the second wave because I've been traveling, but the first wave got like the box.
Yep.
I love them, man.
Yeah, they're incredible models.
At first I was
also tall. They're big.
They're big boys.
Yeah.
At first I was looking at them, I'm like, I don't know if I like these guys. They look kind of odd. And then I was like, it kind of grew on me, and all the weirdness kind of started liking it. So
yeah,
no, that's about it.
They're well designed and kind of thoughtful in the details and why they're there. I painted up is it Lord Exultant?
Yep.
I painted up him from that box for a video, kind of a makeshift, trying to reinvent Slapshot kind of a style in a video, and I enjoyed painting him more than I thought I would when I was building him, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, building him, he's quite complicated.
Yes.
He's got a weird robe that never seems to stick to the other shoulder pad, and it can be a bit annoying. But what have you been hobbying on in that case?
Well, I got that little guy over there. I started. I for the longest time wanted to create my own 40K orc army in the Mad Max Fury Road style. So this is my test model for that army, and he is a number of kit bashed together. Unfortunately, the way that they build
painters, man,
the way that they build 40K orcs these days, or just or I guess models in general, it's not like where it used to be, where it's like legs are one part, upper torso is one part, everything is like kind of like intermingled. We were talking about the Lord Exultant, were intermingled. So the whole bottom half of him, waist and down, is from Age of Sigmar's newest Ardboys set, because they have these really gnarly kind of look like hammered plates. And so I wanted to feel like Mad Max, but I wanted to be enough orc inspired where it's like there's going to be some more clunky metal nastiness to these guys. And so I had to saw them in half, sawed off legs, and then I took from the newer 40K, are they like the Beasta?
The Beast Snagas.
Beast Snagas. So the top of him is a Beast Snaga, because I wanted to make sure they still had the shootas, and then I hacked off his blade to have the more kind of like beaten up, gnarly looking stabas, again from some Age of Sigmar. In the after party, I'm going to talk about the weird fur stuff you see on his right shoulder, that's a little hack that I learned to hide where pieces don't come together and fit really well.
I don't know, so is that a little bit of green stuff messing around? Or?
No, it's just flock.
Just
Really?
You just
grass.
super glue and mash in static grass.
And it looks so different than plastic.
Yes.
You know, it's like a textural like shock. It's like, whoa, what is that right there?
Yeah.
It's almost like armpit hair. You know, it's like close to it. You know, it's really shocking. It's cool.
Patrick Starr taking the brush in the nose and the giant thing.
Yeah. So he's kind of modeled after a war boy from Fury Road.
Yep.
So those guys. The thing is though is that in that movie, I did a bunch of research and I put all these visual like theme boards together to try to get a feel. And there's a bunch of really awesome costume design articles from the lead costume designer who won an Oscar for this film, interviewing her, and as well as the people that designed the vehicles for this fucking movie. And that is next step for this video series is I'm going to be kit bashing one of the vehicles for one of these fuckers. But
You need some chrome paint, right?
yeah,
I was thinking the same thing.
Yeah.
chrome.
Yeah.
It's tough to at scale though, because the war boys, they actually like body paint themselves all white,
Yeah.
and they have the different black patterns across their eyes. And so I painted on the black patterns around his eyes to be darker. I do think from this test, I would like his skin even to be a little bit lighter or brighter, because if I decided to make white body paint on them, I just felt like I wasn't confident that it wouldn't just kind of look like I did a shitty paint job.
Okay.
It's to scale,
Yeah.
right? Our scale is so small,
Yeah.
and we're actually using paint to paint the model. If we put paint to replicate real world paint, it could just look like I'm a shitty painter. And so I was nervous about that. So I tried to make his skin lighter and a cold color when the rest of the scene and the model and the base is all warm colors to make that jump. So
Ricky, would you define 40K orcs as a horde army?
Yes, absolutely.
Are you prepared to paint that
we got a lot of vehicles, boy.
100 times?
Boy. Yeah, we got a lot of boys.
Boys.
Too.
We
We
got a
of
lot of
reds.
boys.
Dude. And that's like, it's for every boy that's made, it's like 3 models were destroyed in the making of
Yeah.
this boy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I feel like step number 2 is settling on a look and then making it efficient. You know, cutting like 80% of that process down so you get like the majority of the feel of what you're going for, but enabling you to actually finish the army, which is a skill that I've been slowly learning how to do with my 40K Dark Eldar, which are apparently also a horde army. I didn't know that. I mean, the model count is 84 models, which seems like a lot.
How many boats do you have?
5. I have 5 boats, 1 Razor Wing, 1 Talos, 1 Kronos,
A bunch of like Cabalites, Incubi.
a bunch of Cabalites, a bunch of Incubi, some Mandrakes.
I guess that's kind of the
I guess compared to Orc, maybe it's not a horde, but it feels so much more than what I used to play in 5th edition 40K forever ago.
I mean, I would call it like a middle ground army.
Okay.
Though I also think they're a little bit weak at the moment. Therefore, I think their points do not reflect what they're supposed to be at.
Okay.
I think they should all be a little bit stronger, and you probably should have like 65 models.
Okay.
You know?
Okay.
So that might be more of a balancing issue.
Kind of a Warhamflation thing we got going on,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
So what they need you to do, tinfoil hat here, they need you to do is they need each army to equal 2,000 points by and large to slowly increase the number of models that you need to have to equal that 2,000 points so you get to buy more stuff.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
I would agree. And then some armies get really good, and then you're like, oh, my 9th edition Voton have like 12 models because they're insane.
Yes.
That's my next army. No.
Voton?
No, it's not.
Oh, too bad. I actually like them quite a bit.
I like Sisters of Battle aesthetically. Like, I love just the religious fanaticism of them. Like, in 40K, you see a lot of that in general, but it's for them, it's very apparent in the design of their models. So I
Things
love that.
extreme.
Yeah, exactly.
100%.
What I worked on is last week I was feeling a little bit directionless in terms of like what video I wanted to work on. And so I was like, whenever I feel like that, like my happy place in the hobby is spending 2 hours painting a thoughtfully designed low detail model, like the ones you find in board games often. And there's this lovely set of sci-fi STLs from a person I know called Skullforge. His name is Jordan Cuffey. And they're for Star Wars, but they're just kind of generic settlers.
Houdini.
Exactly.
Oh, this
Those Jawas.
This reminds me like of almost like the helmet that Dave Bautista had in Blade Runner
Oh.
2049 when he's like garlic farming or whatever.
Oh, right in the very beginning of the movie.
Very beginning.
Yeah,
it looks
yeah.
like just a very classic, simple kind of.
Are you a movie guy? Are you a movie buff?
Some, yeah.
Okay.
Some depends on the movie.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
depends. Less lately, but it's all right.
Yeah.
This is actually quite. This is sick, man.
Thank you. Yeah, it's very low detail, so it painted up fast, but I could spend time on the things that I care about a lot and where it matters a lot. And I just did that off camera. I just didn't want any pressure about like having a narrative or having like knowing the flow of a video. I just wanted to paint a model. And then painting that model, I was like, I love that. And so then I reached out to my community and I was like, give me 3 2-color combo color schemes. And the ones that I liked the most on this post, I'll use on 3 more models like this. And so I haven't finished the 3rd one yet, but I've started on this one. This is supposed to be whole red and seafoam. It's like a greeny blue and a little bit of whole red. So kind of like a rustier dark red.
Sure.
And again, kind of a cool sci-fi dude. Doesn't necessarily need to be Star Wars.
That jacket is really popping.
Yeah.
Thank you. And then I have this other one. This was electric green and royal purple, whatever royal purple is supposed to be. I think it's supposed to be, I think royal purple is like the purple you imagine when you imagine purple, pretty much. I Googled it and most of the results were that.
She got the Darth Maul head thing.
She is a Zabrak, yes.
Okay,
So
so
she
I
has-
don't know that deep, but I can see the horns.
But you're
so-
right, though. Yeah, she's got the patterning on her face, and Zabrak can be all different colors. They don't have to be red like Maul, but they can be white, orange. So I just picked electric green for her face.
Dude, the unsung hero I think of these minis is the grass blades.
I know those little wispy,
Yeah.
little reed-like things.
They're so tall and they just kind of like flicker up there.
I know,
It
I
really
love
adds
it.
a lot to it.
Yeah, like it's very to scale for like the model.
Yeah, and it feels like it's in some kind of alien planet.
Yeah. I wanted a forest world, kind of like Endor you see in Return of the Jedi and stuff like that.
Yes.
You know who Dave, so camera guy Dave is outside here setting up some stuff for the video that I'm here for, and I've been telling him this all weekend, like, why haven't you seen Andor yet, man?
Oh yeah.
Why haven't you seen Andor yet?
like
You know?
at all? Even season 1?
I used to see season 1.
Oh, wow.
And he's like, oh, I kind of like I'm so sick of Star Wars right now. I'm like, that's the point. If you hate Star Wars, you're gonna love Andor.
Andor is a very different speed.
It
Yeah.
is very different. I haven't seen season 2 yet. Is it good?
It's episode 1 is a fucking banger. It is so good. Episode 2 is a little bit of a letdown pacing wise.
Okay.
But I've seen 1, 2, and 3, and it's awesome. It's awesome.
Okay, because like
It's a breath of fresh air.
because the first 2 episodes of Andor season 1 were a little slow, but
Yeah.
they were intentionally so, and the third one kind of like picked it up.
Yeah.
And so like I was so worried they were gonna ruin it.
No,
because
so far
was-
they haven't. At least it's really good.
Okay, good.
It's really good. Yeah, that's what I've painted. I got one more to paint in the last scheme, which I forget what the colors are supposed to be. Oh, it's black and pink. Speaking of Emperor's Children.
Yeah.
So I have to interpret that in some unique way. But I really enjoy doing that. Like 2-hour paint jobs on these simple figs where you can really like get into a jacket without a bunch of belts and like tech gear and these small little surfaces that you can't really express cool painting on, you know? But yeah, that's what I painted.
Heck yeah.
Look at us. We're like 3 efficient hobbyists.
Nice.
We're
3.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You painted a model.
It's not done yet. That's what he's here for.
Oh, right. Yeah. Well, by the end of the weekend.
That's very true. The I must admit, have either of you seen any of the new marathon stuff coming out? The new Bungie game?
No.
Oh no. Okay, I'm aware of it, but I don't know anything about it.
I mean, I don't know if the game is going to be good.
I hope so.
The world is pointing to maybe no.
It's the Halo developers, right?
No,
It's not.
it is, but it's not.
Okay.
Sorry, Bungie made Halo. Bungie now makes Destiny.
Yeah.
Everyone who made Halo is no longer there. It's only the Destiny folks,
Right.
Because it's been 10 years, etc. But Marathon is the new thing they're doing. It's like an extraction shooter or whatever, like a Tarkov.
Yep.
It looks fine, but the art style,
It's very
the
cool.
art design, the art direction is immaculate.
Yeah.
And I keep thinking to myself, like when I first saw your the dude with the orange helmet, my first thought was like, I would love to get some of these Marathon characters as miniatures because it's this like weird retro sci-fi, but like high green blue kind of. It's just the visuals of it are so striking.
Yeah.
That I think that would make for excellent miniature painting.
Yeah. I think so too. We got a sculptor buddy at Blizzard.
I do.
Get a model or two.
I gotta go bring him back and tell me to make some stuff.
Yeah. Do you often paint models just for the fun of painting, or is everything that you paint in a game?
Normally, what I paint is in a game.
Okay.
I all 3 aspects of Warhammer I thoroughly enjoy, but I think I probably enjoy playing the most.
Okay.
I like as a Magic guy, I'm very much like a Johnny type archetype.
Okay.
I'm like I will go to a event and I'll be all right. Here's my Sisters of Battle army. I'm running max Battle Sister squads and like a bunch of random stuff, and I'm just a go.
Yeah.
You know, and I normally do it kind of well. I do like 3 and 2 because they're not really expecting it. It's a whole different thing, but it's never like fully optimized to actually win anything.
Right.
But I really like doing that, and so I'll very often get, I'll find this new miniature that looks really cool, and it has this like maybe it's got a cool rule attached to it that kind of pushes me towards it.
Yep.
Very rarely ever a model that I think is so good I gotta have it. I don't really meta chase because by the time I finish painting it, it'll be nerfed.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
And so, but very often I'll find certain miniatures, and I'm just like, like right now, Eldar are quite good. They're not insane, but they're good. And then a lot of the Phoenix Lords are decent. You might take some, you might not. They probably won't change. Therefore, I saw the Phoenix Lords, and I was like, these just look so good, right? They look so beautiful. So I'll paint some up.
Okay.
And then I'll go from there. So yeah, I mean, it depends on the thing. But the Emperor's Children army, I honestly don't care if they're good or bad. They just look so pretty.
Okay.
Plus, they also harken back to like early 2000s, late 90s glam rock 40K.
Yes.
And
they have that vibe.
Yeah, it goes back to that weird just I don't know when everything was like hyper edgy and everyone had the exposed abs on the flawless blades and stuff.
Oh, right. Those are my favorite models.
They're
the
so
flawless
cool.
blades. Can you explain for our viewers what a Johnny is?
Oh, I mean, you would know this better than I would actually.
Right. So Johnny just wants to play with his cool toys and have them do cool things.
Yeah, cool combos and stuff like that.
Right. Yeah. Winning is not important, but it's more about having an awesome experience and coming up with some cool idea of your own and seeing it come to fruition.
Yeah.
Johnny wants to win with his weird thing.
Yes.
So speaking of, I mean, not to derail this into Magic, but I did just get on the train a little bit, unfortunately, and
or fortunately,
well, not wallet wise. Are you aware of the card Heir Apparent?
Yes, I am. I got 37 of them if you need them.
I bought 33 of them.
Okay.
what is this card that you need so many of?
So Heir Apparent is a 2 cost white. It's 2/2. You put it down. And then for every other Heir Apparent that's there, you spawn a 1/1 bunny. So if you put down a second Heir Apparent, you get a bunny. You put down a third Heir Apparent, you get 2 bunnies, and so on. And you're allowed to have as many Heir Apparents in your deck as you want, where in Commander you would normally only get 1 card per deck.
Okay.
Now, are you familiar with the ability that Commissar Severina Rain gets as a Commander?
No.
So for me, my build is Guardsman bunnies. So you've got like a commissar who I mean, if we're being completely frank right now, is this big space Nazi because it's the Imperium,
right?
And her ability is when she attacks, you deal X amount of damage to all other players equal to the amount of other attacking creatures on your side.
Yeah, I'm seeing it come together.
And also you can just blam one in the head for 2 life and draw a card. And so I'm just imagining like the visual of like this commissar with like 46 bunnies in like guardsman gear, just like the sword forward, and then everyone takes 46 damage and just dies.
Yeah.
It's such a stupid idea. So I bought 33 Heir Apparents.
Yeah.
I mean, narratively, guardsmen are kind of like bunnies.
They're just as expendable.
Yeah. So it kind of works, actually.
My fleet of bunny guardsmen.
and equally as lethal, right? If
Yes.
we're honest, right?
Okay.
I mean, that's a prime example of a Johnny thing. Is like, I have a wild idea. It's so stupid and silly, but my God, when a plan comes together, it's going to be a moment.
Yeah,
You know?
Absolutely.
What kind of gamer are you, John?
I don't know.
I don't know anymore.
Yeah, I'm part. I mean, I guess I'm a little bit of a power gamer, Timmy the power gamer. And I try to, as the older I get, the more I try to like harness him, because I find, especially in playing games of Warhammer or in playing games of Commander, if you go pure sweaty nerd style, the other people aren't really having fun as much as you crush them.
Yeah.
And then they don't want to play with you, or I want everyone to have a fun time. So that the Johnny mindset is a great mindset to have, I think, for both tabletop wargaming and for Magic. I mean, one-on-one Magic's a different animal. I will slit your throat and drink your blood. But Commander's a little bit.
So you're a Spike in
Yes,
some
in the
regard.
one-on-one.
In the one-on-one.
Yeah, I'm pure Spike, but
I feel like I have been a Spike for a very long time, but I've realized that even if I win, it's not fun. And so now I've started to kind of convert into a Johnny, where it's like I don't want to use a net list for anything, whether it's Magic, whether it's I play Star Wars Unlimited because I'm a Star Wars like slut.
unlimited.
But I love exactly what you said. I love to find my own strategy and then employ it and like express skill through that way. Like I don't want to take someone else's idea and then employ it. I think half of the fun of like writing a list for Warhammer or making a deck for a card game is the making of the deck, is the formulating of the strategy. And so I don't like to just take a thing and lift it and then just execute. I also want to like be a part of the creating the strategy, the plan. And so I love to have a cool thing come together. So a little bit of Johnny, but you know, the Spike comes out every now and then when I can detect that my opponent is tryharding. Then I just kind of engage that mode.
You need to meet that energy.
Yeah.
Because nothing is more fun than beating a tryhard.
Oh God.
Oh,
You know?
yeah.
Like
Especially with a suboptimal list, you know? Yeah.
Yeah. You play if you play a Johnny list and you beat a Spike, like you are in over the moon.
Yes.
Yes.
That's peak gaming, actually.
Yes.
Yeah.
Here's someone's absolute insane net list that they downloaded off a deck or off of the internet and spent $1,000 on, and my fleet of bunnies has trampled them into the dirt. It's absolutely incredible. So you're a big Star Wars guy.
You know, it's in the last like 2 years. I had it as a kid. I watched the movies, but it was very like kind of distant, like kind of whatever. But in the last 2 years, I've just gotten really into Star Wars. I don't know why.
Okay, I kind of assumed it was a bit more of like a prequels growing up type thing, like myself.
I did watch that. I did enjoy them, but I do like the originals, the Galactic Civil era, the most.
Poor kids.
Yeah, I didn't. I was too young. I didn't know.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, I was working at a video store when the Phantom Menace came out, and this is a true fucking story. 2 years later, the manager of that store, he named his firstborn son Anakin.
Nice.
And this was after the Phantom Menace. I'm like, dude, you watched the movie, right? Right?
It's kind of ass.
Yeah, but you know.
Hey, you know what? The sequels made them look good. Now they're kind of good.
I will always be like, dang, the sequels did all the movie parts better with
Yes.
like the acting and the shots and stuff.
The VFX and
VFX,
like, yeah.
but it was so devoid of anything substantive.
I know. Yeah, it's so bizarre.
I would go back, like I'll sit through the awful politicking of the entire Phantom Menace to at least get to the Darth Maul fight.
Yeah.
Right? Because at least
or the pod racing.
or the pod racing.
Yeah,
At least you had those glimmers and moments, right?
Yeah.
And it's so funny. I played like the pod racing video game on the PlayStation 1.
Oh man.
Oh yeah, they had that on PS1 and N64. I
yeah.
gotta remember that terrible game.
It was I was like 6. Generational gap.
Yeah. Go ahead.
That's awesome. I mean, I don't want to derail us with Star Wars too much, so I kind of want to get more into Warhammer, and let's start somewhere basic. Let us know your roadmap into Warhammer. Where did you start? How old were you?
Oh, me specifically?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. So I played. I used to have a PC cafe down by me. So Howie's Game Shack was what it's called, and I would always go there to play a bunch of games with my friends. But we played a ton of Command and Conquer because I was a huge Tiberium Wars guy. And so eventually we were looking for other RTS games, so we played Dawn of War.
Yes.
Played a bunch of Dawn of War.
Dawn of War 1 or 2?
I think we played 2 because I think that's when it came out for the time for me. But then we went back to 1 a little bit. You know,
Same thing for me. I started with 2 and then went back to 1.
you kind of figure out both.
Yeah.
And then from there, I was like, it's pretty cool. And then I played Space Marine the first game, and I was like, even as a kid, I was like, it's all right. Because the big orc dude's cool. And then I think I read like a book maybe once, but it was all very much like just aware of the universe.
Okay.
But I used to work at Dairy Queen, and my Dairy Queen manager, it was Super Bowl Sunday, and it was dead. There's no one there. And he was talking about Warhammer stuff, and I was like, I think I played those games, but I don't really know anything about the factions. So he likes to put down what he was doing, and he went to the back.
Like, you what?
He went to the back whiteboard and wrote down all the factions on the back whiteboard, and was like, "We're starting with the Necrons."
God damn it.
I love this.
And then I had like a little Rogue One moment where I was like, "Help us, get me out!"
Oh my gosh.
That was how I eventually learned, and I bought some miniatures in 7th edition. And I played like Grey Knights because I was like, these guys are all wizards. And then I was like, wow, 7th edition fucking sucks. It was terrible. And my buddies played like Eldar and Necrons and stuff. And then took a bit of a break for a while because it was just kind of fun, but I didn't really go too deep into it.
Okay.
And then when Magikarp Matt was getting into making a board game channel, because it started off with like Disney's Villainous and stuff like that, which super good card game.
Yeah, it's a great game.
For like
Easy game.
no reason.
Yeah, no reason. In the complexity that everyone's playing their own game.
It is. It's complex. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's cool though. It's a great board game.
It's a great board game. But with that, I was like, we're doing all this tabletop stuff. Like, maybe we'll try this Warhammer thing.
Okay.
Like, I played this back when I was younger, and then they all spent thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
And then I got back into it, and then I made a little video on the lore because I was like, oh, this would be kind of fun. And then that video just did absolute game busters for no reason.
Right.
And then the podcast came around because a friend of mine wanted to do a lore podcast, and now here we are.
Yeah. And what's the name of your podcast?
Adeptus Ridiculous.
Your podcast grosses like 100K views a video. That is insane.
I don't know if we're deserving, but it's a little. It came out of nowhere. It's not even my podcast. It's Shy, the other the like kind of owner / co-host is the owner of the podcast.
Okay.
I think that's probably the same reason why that first video did so well is that when it came to Warhammer, you had cool spaceman shoot stuff people and like 3 dudes in their basement talking about like the brand new like Psychic Awakening lore and how the implications are affecting the universe, and there was nothing in between.
Okay.
Right, there was no bridging any of those gaps.
Yeah.
And so I think, especially with the advent of COVID and all that stuff, a lot more of those things arrived. There was the Warhammer podcast, some personal friends of mine as well. They're great. And then a lot of people just kind of started popping up with like their own easily digestible lore videos. Shorts became a big thing, and that helped a ton. And then yeah, I mean, I feel like I helped like kind of get maybe some of it off its feet, but at this point I'm like, everyone else can take it now. Like I don't know. I do it every so often, but I've never considered myself like a Warhammer content creator, if we're going to use those words.
Okay.
It's more just like a thing I really enjoy and I do a lot of, and it gets good views, but like I've always just liked lots of stuff. Okay. I'm sure I'll fall off of the hobby in a year, and then come back in 3 years, and then because it's a hobby. You don't. It's just that's how it. I mean, granted, it's a job for some of us as well. Don't get me wrong, but you guys also paint far more than Warhammer.
That's true. Yeah, but it's an interesting thing you bring up that I find myself also struggling with often, which is like I also love to jump around to different things all the time. But a YouTube channel doesn't necessarily like it when you jump around and change.
They hate that
formatting and theming, and so it's kind of an interesting thing we talk about a little bit later on. But so it started in the back room of a DQ, getting force fed 40K lore, and then it went to Matt saying, "Hey, be part of this cool." Like, was it an escalation you guys were in? You all were kind of getting together at the same time, building your armies together.
Yeah, no, it wasn't anything like that. It was just like we did the wrong thing. We did the worst thing you're supposed to do, which is how many points does Warhammer played at? 2,000? All right. I need this many things.
Okay, buy these things.
Yeah, and then it's like $1,000 because it really feels good when you like, this is my business credit card, right? This is my expenses,
tax free.
But and then we all just jumped into it and then set it up for battle reports and got wasted playing Warhammer, and that was the fun of it.
Yeah. I think Dice Check was a great time when that was around. Like that's some like the. I don't watch a ton of battle reports online, but I did enjoy the cast of characters that was in Dice Check.
Thanks, man.
It was really enjoyable for me to listen to while hobbying.
Well, you've met a few of them. You met like Garrett and
I think folks. We saw each other walking by at LVO, but we didn't have like any kind of extended conversation.
He said you guys talked about elf fucking.
I must have been high or something.
Yeah,
I have no memory of that. What the fuck?
My phone's in the other room. Damn. He was like, "Oh yeah, I met Scott at LVO. We talked about like elf fucking," and I'm like, you know what? I believe it.
Checks.
Yeah.
Okay. I guess. Yeah, we did that.
Wicked high or something.
That's amazing.
Speaking of that, I feel like there was a missed opportunity for.
Can you be more specifically?
Yeah, like I feel like we had a missed opportunity here because like this is a little bit behind the scenes of the podcast, ladies and gentlemen. Like I feel like there was a missed opportunity for a dilly bar joke in there, Bricky. I just want to throw that out there.
It's an ice cream at the Dairy Queen.
He came in the back and he was on the writing on the whiteboard, turns around and showed him his dilly bar. Anyway,
no, it's fine, John. You came here to grill me, but I'm here to chill.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
You're supposed to be the dick joke guy.
I occasionally make a few of them.
By the way, how's like cursed dick going here?
So
with
honestly, I
Necronomicon?
mean, he saw it
Yeah.
and he was like, "This is the face he made,"
Oh, right.
and so it's a permanent thing.
The other side is his ear, though, so that's the side you need to worry about.
No.
Oh God! Wrong hole. All right.
I had one other comment
Yes.
from the peanut gallery over here,
Okay.
because it just came to my head as you're talking about swiping the business credit card. So I can look into the future and see a Magic the Gathering video appearing on your channel in the near future, because
This guy's good.
let me tell you, I did actually when the 40K Commander decks came out, I did a video where I took a Space Marine and I sawed him in half and I put him on. There is what card was it from the 40K deck? It was one of the Nurgle cards.
Oh.
It was called like Noxious Fumes or something. And there's a Space Marine like dying on the card and he's like reaching out. And so I made a 3D card where it's an actual Space Marine coming out of the card. And painted him to fit the color scheme or whatever. And Wizards reached out to me and they were like, "Oh my gosh, all the people around the office, whatever." So so they sent me a bunch of product, and I'm like, well. Now, so there's a realm there too, of overlap, right? You got to bridge the gap, and then all these Commander Magic cards you're going to be spending money on. It's all business expense.
I mean, depending on how well this video that I'm working on does, that is very much the How Magic Ruined My Life is a very solid title that I can work together with.
Absolutely.
We literally went to the game store with Casey, and I was like, "You guys got any packs?"
Yeah, it's just,
I was just like, "Get him,
hit it."
in.
Yeah,
There's that card.
Oh, that's sick, dude.
It's actually at the source, I think.
Yeah,
so.
it is. It's in their little display case.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you have any game
Killer.
store time while you're here, you should definitely go to the Source Comic and Games in Roseville.
They got some packs, but
It's an awesome
No.
fucking store. Yeah.
We may want to do a little bit of B-roll for that, so I may hit you up on that offer.
Right. I got to stop over there and pick up some 40K Orc vehicle kits anyway. So.
Ooh. See, I was thinking, not to derail the topic again, but when you were talking about the Orcs as a Horde army and how much you're going to get done for that, my first thought was 800 points, Stompa, and then you get the giant Orc speakers on the back, like you can with the guitar and stuff.
Yeah.
And
A
then
little stage in front for one guy.
You
Yeah.
get the Orc with the big
The
guitar.
Goth Rocka. Yeah.
I have that model already.
Oh, there it is.
Like,
So you just blind him because you put like the bandages on his head, like
Yeah.
the guy, and then there you go. That's over a third of your army
smart.
right there and done.
Nice. The big walking trash can.
Yeah.
I love that model.
Yeah.
It has no reason to be that good.
It's so
Yeah.
goofy looking.
It's so stupid.
Yeah. They could have what's his name? The big albino dude's the main bad guy.
Oh, and Morton Joe.
Yeah, Morton Joe, like walking out of the mouth, so it's like his big stage where he's on top of it. Because maybe it's his because he usually doesn't really go into battle, but it's like if he's gonna go in, Morton Joe's coming in on that thing.
I give him like a Death Guard or like something like Nurgle belly.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah. Maybe one of their gas masks, too.
Yeah.
There definitely are Orc Morton Joe STLs. Like, I've seen them at least twice, like 100%.
I'm sure it's like Orc Moat and Joe. I'm sure it's like a.
Oh,
Yeah,
Morton
some kind
Joe.
of-
There's some kind of play on words that I haven't quite got yet.
Yeah.
But I'm sorry, we were discussing
Serious topics.
yeah, very serious topics.
Very serious.
Like
topics.
Magic the Gathering.
Yes.
Naturally, of course.
I mean, we can talk about whatever we want to. You
Sure.
know, Star Wars.
No,
So, I got a question for you, Bricky. So
I have an answer.
I have, granted, this opinion of mine long served me strictly through ignorance, and we talked about earlier before we started recording. You talked about the Night Lord's Omnibus, which I have read.
Absolutely phenomenal books.
No, but see, I have a strong
He's a lore hater.
I
Okay?
have a strong aversion.
You're a lore Sherpa.
I have a strong aversion to 40K lore and story.
Okay.
And I thought that it was just because I was I came to the gaming in Warhammer in general late in life. It was mid-30s before I ever got really exposed to Warhammer. And I'm like, it's just maybe not a part of my origin story. It's not a part of, there's no nostalgia tied to it to me. So I kind of looked through it through clear adult glasses. And
yeah.
and
Yeah, where's this going, John?
I'm just
You're asking me why I think I like it.
what
does it for
about
me?
what about the lore, the story, the convoluted no no lines connect other than just this general storyline where we can have 40,000 authors all write whatever the fuck we want and none of it needs to connect interests you.
So you kind of answered your own question there a little bit.
Okay.
So I much like you though, I also have no nostalgia. To Warhammer.
I was totally assuming that was going to be it coming into this, and the fact that you don't is wild to me.
No, I played those games back when because I liked Command and Conquer, and I played Brood War all my childhood, and I was like, ooh, new RTS game. That was the end of it. And I played Space Marine when I was a kid, and I was like, it's all right. And I was a kid, so like, I have no reservations on the concept of Warhammer lore because I think it is mismanaged as hell. It's convoluted as shit, and it's got all kinds of problems. But to me, you need to, what's the word? I always use the same reference. It's the soy jack bell curve, where you've got the really dumb guy on the bottom, the angry guy on the top, and the dude with a hood on the far right. But they share the same idea. No. All right, it's fine. Well, maybe I don't know. I'm sure someone knows what I'm talking about. But the idea is like you go into Warhammer lore, and you're like, this is stupid, man. And then you get people who start reading like Hell's Reach and various other novels like that, and they start treating it very seriously.
Like Gaunt's Ghosts too.
Gaunt's Ghosts, like no, you don't understand. Like it's blah 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 blah. And then eventually you get so into the lore, you go back down, and you're like, oh man, I love this. This is stupid.
Okay.
Like I look at like the Night Lords books, right? I love those books because the protagonists of those books are the most like horrible people ever. Like they're like genuinely awful. And despite, I mean, the main character is Septimus, right? The seventh slave, and he's kind of a G though. He's a pretty good character.
He is a G.
But you take these absolutely horrid individuals, and then you find a way to somehow make them weirdly likable, despite how terrible they are.
Relatable too.
Somehow relatable, and then you immediately juxtapose that with them like torturing a city.
Right.
And so for me, I look at Warhammer because it's stupid, and I say to myself, like, the strength in the storytelling is the fact that I can immediately open up Horus Rising, and I read about Garvio Locum, and they like subdue a whole planet, and he goes to his guy, and he's like, they were completely like peaceful. They just wanted to live alone. Like, why did we do this? And the guy immediately goes to him, and he's like, if a child is drowning in a lake, do you save the child? And he's like, yes, of course. If the child tries to resist and he's scared of you and he pushes you away, what do you do? And he's like, you save him anyway. And it's like, that's their method of rationalizing their like totalitarian conquest.
Right.
And then you take that, and then you have Uber Giga Blaster Plasma Gun 7000 murdering like xenomorphs or hooligans, and that like, and they play it perfectly straight.
Yeah.
Like, it's completely straight. And that, to me, is farcical, and that's why I like it.
Okay.
It's so dumb that it goes back around to being enjoyable because you take those themes, take hard themes, genuinely interesting characters, and you put it into a universe where Gazkul Uruk Margaret Thatcher is, like, actually his name he's based off of. And, like, I love that, man.
It's okay. Yeah. I mean, that tracks. It does every one of books and articles and everything that I've tried to get into, it takes itself too seriously, and I'm just like, I can't. I just feel like I'm like the only one in the room that it's just like, is no one else seeing the same thing I'm seeing here? This is absolute ridiculousness. But I can appreciate that you see how straight it plays itself, and that in and of itself is the humor of it all.
That is the funny part. Like you play like Warhammer Darktide, right? And it takes itself extremely seriously. And then like the loading screen messages are the only like tolerance is weakness.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it's just like, that's so funny to me. Like, so I listen to those books and I see how serious they are, and I think to myself, that's funny. Like that is the charm.
Okay.
Is the fact like I had to kind of undo it a little bit, you know?
Sure.
It's not badassery to you. It's comedy.
Kind of. I mean, don't get me wrong. There are like I'll read Gaunt's Ghosts, and I'll read like Necropolis, and I'll be like, this is badass because they're doing badass stuff. But then you also get just the you kind of like pull back on the universe. So we'll call it your hammer. Like, you won't love everything about Warhammer. There's no way you will, but you'll probably like something.
There's something there for you.
Absolutely, yeah. I think that's actually one of the coolest things about Warhammer is that you can really make it your own.
Yes.
You know, like not just through what books you read, but even like how you hobby. Like you're doing like Mad Max Orcs, and there's like probably some storyline that makes perfect sense for that, even in 40K, because it is so massive and has so much potential for creativity just in general. It's kind of like a canvas almost.
Right. I mean, it's a whole marketing scheme by them.
For sure,
is to be able to. It has to be ours, though. Okay, let's get this real straight.
So
right?
does that ruin it for you? Because you can see the machinations. It makes it feel like it's not designed. Like the suspension of disbelief kind of like falls a little bit because you can see that it's just so wide and open.
Yeah, and done with purpose, not done with lack of completion.
Sure. Okay.
Right. Where in Star Wars, to look at it that way, I feel like there are. The circle is whole, and there are still gaps in that universe where all sorts of interesting stories could be told. But there are certain bumpers on the bowling alley of which it feels truly within that universe. Mm-hmm. You read 5 different authors of Black Library books, you feel like none of those.
No bumpers.
There are no fucking bumpers.
Yeah.
The other issue I have is, and I told myself I wasn't going to get into this.
Let's get into it.
See, I feel like you maybe expected me to be a little bit more like anti your stance.
No. I thought you were going to hold it so sacred, and then I wouldn't want to do this. So I would feel bad.
He wanted to fight. He came in choosing violence.
That's the bell curve. I don't. It's just, not to cut you off, but like Magic, right?
Sure.
Magic. There's so many decks, and there are so many horrendously overpowered things you can do with the decks, right? To the point where because that upper echelon of ridiculousness and power is there, you like intentionally don't go there.
Yes.
Because you aim to play with people with suboptimal decks because it's more fun and more enjoyable.
Right.
For me, Warhammer has so many authors, so many varying levels of strength and content to the point where I can just ignore a vast amount of it.
True.
Like I see a new book come out and it's like, it's probably kind of shit, and I just kind of like move on. And then I read the Night Lord omnibus, and I'm like, this is my mecca. And then you go back to this other stuff, and you're like, it's kind of whatever, it's mediocre. Then you like learn like about Ian Watson stuff, and then you have like a little bit of like your eyes start blaring. But like that for me is like, because it's so there's no bumpers, I can kind of go down a little bit.
Right. I guess my big struggle with it is in terms of just the books and the lore itself is that, and I chose to start with, as I'm a Night Lords fan. I have a Night Lords army as well. So is Scott. We have a simpatico in a lot of our aesthetic and army design.
This is great. I'm with the right people here.
Yeah.
This is good.
Is that always that? I did some research. I'm like, where's the place to start reading? And it often came back to this. I'm like, well, I already like Night Lords. Let's fucking get into this. Aaron Dembski-Bowden is the best author for Black Library, and he's a terrible writer. So that's my big issue. My big issue with it is in reading a handful of different authors is like the actual literary quality of the writing is so poor that I really struggle. That I'm like, no, I just want to grab people and be like, but no, there are actually really well-written, amazing story, sci-fi and fantasy series out there and authors out there. And that's my struggle. It's that if you love Warhammer for Warhammer, then everyone do your own thing, do what makes you happy, because that's what you attach to. But where I really struggle is where people that they like it because they think they're well-crafted stories, and I'm like, but no, it's a well-crafted Warhammer story, and I just really struggle. I can't. It's so hard to get through stuff.
Guilty.
It's so hard to get through stuff.
Guilty. I think they're well-crafted stories.
Oh gosh.
Please. So after this, or even right now,
okay.
I'd love, because I keep telling people this right here. I always tell people, they're not just good Warhammer stories; they're good stories.
Okay.
So
here's the fight we want.
Well, I'm curious because I'm curious. I mean, whether you have a background in this kind of stuff or anything, or if you've just, because there's a very good chance you've simply read far more sci-fi stories and stuff like that than I have. I would love some recommendations of things that you consider to be like, that's a sci-fi story. That's like, this is real top level stuff.
It kind of comes down to what kinds of stories grip you, what kinds of things make you keep turning the page. But like, if you like that visceral, because if they're both are porn, right? If there's an aspect of that really appeals to you, there are other authors in the space that can just craft a much more gripping, story that tells you all 3 dimensions of a character in their life and how they interact with the world much more than a bunch of scene cuts of shooting people and like, but he's a bad guy, but the other guy is a better guy, but this guy's a big guy that can never be killed, but what happens when he fights another guy that can never be killed?
A lot of one-upsmanship going on at 40K.
There is no lies being spoken, and yet I still am into it.
Yeah, and that's okay. Like I know, and that's the thing is like I'm so passionate about this, but I also don't want to yuck anyone else's yum. It's like, hey, if it gets you to listen to audiobooks, or heaven forbid, you actually physically read a book, this is good for you. This is a positive thing. I think more people should read, just in general. That I don't want to put that down. My struggle is internally wanting to get people to be exposed to a wider variety of stuff, right? And so, but if people are just really into Warhammer books and love reading those,
you got a rec though?
Yeah. Give me a rec.
Isaac Asimov, Caves of Steel.
Yeah, I mean, I've read like Roadside Picnic and stuff.
You need to look up the author. Now, this is more this is going to be more fantasy than sci-fi, but look up the author, Joe Abercrombie. This guy
No relation.
No relation.
All right, gotcha.
This guy creates some of the most brutal, low fantasy, kind of Conan-esque of our generation with some gnarly black magic world where his characters, who are equally shades of gray and not necessarily good people, but put in these rough situations in their life, and you'll find some truly memorable stories for that. So I would say start there. And really anything that's got the bloody 9, Logan 9 Fingers. If you start with Logan 9 Fingers, you will find yourself deep in that world. And from there, if you're like, fuck yeah, this is the kind of stuff, I got more recommendations. But
okay.
I usually say start there.
I only ask that you put your money where your mouth is.
Sure.
Every opinion you have is a completely valid one that I'm totally understand.
Uh-huh.
And it's one of the reasons why I don't stand on ceremony when it comes to Warhammer stuff, and I don't recommend it to everyone because it's just not that way.
Right.
But like, I mean, I've read lots of other. I've read like almost every Stephen King book.
Yeah.
I've read most of Cormac McCarthy. I've done a lot of that kind of stuff, and I'm like, and even with that, I read the 40K stuff, and I still consider it to be pretty good.
Okay.
Now,
Some of the 40K stuff. You don't read all of it, right?
Oh, hell no.
Right, yeah.
Hell no. No, there are many books that I got like an hour into, and I'm like, this sucks. And I just shut it off. But also, I will say, I would say that the voice acting of a lot of the audiobooks elevates it a bit.
Oh.
And I do wonder, because I do read some of the physical books, but not many. I mostly listen to them.
Okay.
So, like, for example, The Night Lord's Omnibus is read by Andrew Wincott, who is Raphael in Baldur's Gate 3.
Okay.
The Red Devil Man.
Oh.
And so, like, his voice is this, like, deep drawl as he talks. And for me, that elevates the book substantially above maybe it would have been if I just read them.
Maybe that could be a part of it too, because I'm not a big audiobook guy, and that's where sometimes I'd find myself struggling to get through physically reading, and like the amount of effort that takes my brain to go through it. I kind of set this level of expectation with it, but I could be outside like mowing the lawn or doing something or whatever, and kind of get myself into it, walking the dog, that kind of thing. That maybe that would have a different effect on me, and a different level of expectation of my time. Sometimes I feel like if I can multitask and still take in a good story, a certain podcast that I listen to, that I feel like it's a good value there because I'm not committing all of my focus and energy in this ever evolving constant need for our attention from multiple things at once kind of world, that maybe I'd appreciate it more.
Did you read The Infinite Divine?
Mm-mm.
That audiobook may be a good choice then.
Okay.
It's very light. It's just two Necrons, Trazyn and Orican, and it's them fighting each other like bitter old men for like 10,000 years.
Okay.
Back and forth. It's like half comedy. It's a little bit of action. It's a little philosophy on the Necron world. And the audio narrator is Richard Reed.
Uh-huh.
Reed Richards is the Fantastic Four guy, right?
I have
Yes,
no idea.
Reed Richards.
Okay,
Yeah.
I
Asking
was
the wrong
confused.
person.
It's the voice actor is Richard Reed. He does a pretty darn good job. He kind of throws a little bit of like a heavy, like little kind of Egyptian accent type. It's probably not perfect, but I think he does a good job.
Okay.
I'd be curious if you're mowing the lawn, you're driving somewhere, you put that audiobook on, see if it does more for you with the voice acting as opposed to the actual physical pages.
Okay.
Infinite and the Divine.
What's the name of it again?
The Infinite and the Divine.
All right. Okay. Well, here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna
listen to it right now. Chapter.
I hope you like a DMCA.
All right. I will listen to that. So I get two different sides of it. I can see one it's mostly 2 character based. That is sounds like it's got more depth to the story, and listen to it. I'll do that if you in some time in the next 6 months you get through a book of Joe Abercrombie, and we'll reconvene.
Yes, we'll reconvene.
Okay.
Yeah, beautiful. Do you ever get into the Dune books at all?
No, I watched the David Lynch movie from the 80s, and I was like, this sucks.
Oh no!
And then of course Dune Part 1 came out, and I was like, oh, that was pretty good, but it's like half a film.
Yeah.
And then I watched Dune Part 2, and I was just like, this is absolute cinema. I adored it. But no, I never got into the Dune books themselves. I think mainly due to the fact that by the time I got anything into, or I was interested in Dune at all, was when the movies came out, and by then I don't have time for a 1,500 page book.
Yeah, that's fair.
It's heavy.
It's
heavy.
One.
Yeah, it's at that old gen sci-fi and fantasy that are just so heavy.
Yeah.
Right. And I think actually the movies kind of what could help you get into the books, just because of like,
That's how it worked for me.
Yeah, you get overwhelmed if you just read them without having seen. Well, especially the new ones. That old '80s one is.
The '80s one is wild.
Is
bro.
a wild
Yeah,
mess.
that's
It's a wild movie.
David Lynch, man. Oh my God, I have a small story.
Please.
So-
About David Lynch?
Related.
Okay.
So, my sister is a huge Twin Peaks fan.
Okay.
Have either of you seen Twin Peaks?
I've seen like 4 episodes of it.
Okay.
And I enjoy it. I think it's great.
I know people are like massive.
She's
fans.
a massive Twin Peaks fan.
Okay.
And so she showed me the whole first season, and I was like, oh, this is pretty good. Kind of, it's very weird.
Yeah.
It's very like because at the time it was all a bunch of soap operas, and so you have these like horrific things happening, but they're playing like soap like soap opera music in the background.
Yeah.
And so we watched the first season, but we do a little Twin Peaks tour. Me and her, me and my sister go out to Washington State, and we go through all the places they shot, the diner, everything there, and it was a really fun time. And so over at Reno, when I'm with Dan and Casey, we're driving down, and I see a restaurant. We're looking for lunch, and I see it's a Twin Peaks restaurant, and I'm like, hell yes, a Twin Peaks themed restaurant. How amazing! I'm gonna get coffee and pie and everything.
Yes.
And Casey's like, isn't that like the Hooters type place?
Was it?
And I was like, no, what the hell? It's like, no, it's
TV
like
show.
Yeah, and then it's like that. Oh, that's so funny, Casey. Twin Peaks. Funny. And then he's like, no, I really think that's what it is. And so I open my phone, and it's like lumberjack titty Hooters type.
Oh
place,
my
restaurant. And
You didn't go?
I was so upset. I was like, I wanted my Twin Peaks.
Right.
I was so excited for my Twin Peaks thing, and I keep telling Dan, like, Dan needs to get better with doing bits, because if I was him, I would have said nothing.
Oh my gosh.
I would've kept my
Yeah.
mouth shut and be like, oh yeah, man, I'm down for Twin Peaks. We get cherry pie and coffee. It'll be great. You walk in there and you're just like met with just 2 eyes staring at you.
You're like, I don't remember this scene.
Yeah, this wasn't part of the show.
So I've read a lot of Black Library books, mostly when I was younger, mostly fantasy things. And then, just like you, I got into Dune through watching Part 1 and Part 2.
Sure.
And so then I started to read the books because I just wanted more Dune stuff. And a lot of people say that the Dune books are very difficult and heavy to read. But I feel like if you read Black Library books, I feel like they're also kind of heavy in a similar way. A lot of characters, a lot of details about societies and hierarchies and politics and things like that. And that is all in Dune. Like, it's all there. It's like the names of different houses, House Atreides, House Harkonnen, House Carino. And like, I felt like I could follow it so easily because of like my training, if you can put it that way, in reading Black Library books and just being, reading army books and like reading factions and stuff like that. So if you want to give it a try, I'm currently on God Emperor Dune, which is like 3 or 4. I think they're great.
So where comes the big slug?
Yeah, that's when Leto becomes the giant sandworm man.
Oh yeah, with the sandworm, of course.
Yeah.
Those are some. I saw. I mean, obviously Dune is very interesting, but then like people were talking about what happens after the first 2 Dune movies, and I'm like, what is happening here?
Yeah. Messiah, the next movie, doesn't get that weird. It's actually quite a short book. It's like 200 pages long, whereas the rest are like 600, 700 long. So I don't know how they're gonna make like a 2-hour-long movie out of it, because not as much happens in that story. But yeah, 3 and then 4 is when it really starts to turn up the weird a lot.
I mean, I was a huge Denis Villeneuve fan before this, because I loved Prisoners, Arrival.
Oh yeah,
Blade Runner 2049 is one of my favorite movies of all time.
All amazing movies.
Incredible. He's clearly an extremely talented filmmaker. And I really hope he continues to be making those Dune movies. I do hope he doesn't like typecast himself into it.
He says he's done after this one.
After Messiah?
Yeah.
Okay, that's fine then. Because like just watching Dune 2 and just feeling like sad. Like I was just watching it, like, you know, like Javier Bardem's character and stuff, and he's like coming as like zealot, and I'm just like, you know, Paul's doing his thing. And I'm like,
Yeah.
like I was like genuinely like, damn, this sucks, man. Like this film was amazing, but like it was genuinely like a little affecting. I was like this
Like
is
the characters and their stories.
Yeah. Like as they progress and like what Paul starts to do, and like like Javier Bardem's character was Stilgard, I think, and just like it kind of just like made me feel like this kind of like dread the whole time, and I was like, this dude can make movies,
right?
You know?
Yeah, it's beautiful. I genuinely feel like blessed to like be of the age where I get to like go to see this movie in theater when it came out. It kind of feels like I imagine what it felt like when Star Wars came out in the late 70s, early 80s. It's like people got to go see that. I never got to see that, but I got to see Dune Part 1 and Part 2, and it's like it's awesome.
It's an event.
It's an event for sure. Yeah.
Me going to the midnight release of Modern Warfare 2.
At
GameStop. That was my time.
Oh, bro, I forgot something from the Preamble Ramble. Speaking of standing up at the GameStop, I stood in line outside of GameStop to get my Switch 2 pre-release.
Did you
Really?
Yeah.
There's still lines for that?
Yeah, there. Yeah.
Did it work?
It worked. I actually got one.
Oh, nice.
I kind of drove by because my daughter's birthday is coming up in the middle of June. And I was like, you know, she and I, it's one of our things we do with bonding is we play Switch together. And so I was like, I'm going to surprise her and get her Switch 2 for her birthday. And so I tried to go on Target and like Walmart or something like the night before. And it was like instantly all the bots took all the pre-orders. It was like instant. So I'm like, I'll just go over lunch hour, swing by the local GameStop and just see how bad the line is. And there was like 8 people in line. I'm like, fuck this. I'm going to go stand in line for 30 minutes and get my pre-order. So I did that. And I talked to the dude that was number 1 in line. So the store opened at 11 a.m. That dude got there at 1 a.m.
Oh my gosh.
I got there at 10:40 and got the same thing.
Oh my gosh.
That was what all the dudes did for the old Call of Duties back then.
Yep.
Those are it's kind of, you're kind of suffering, but I kind of missed it.
Yeah.
It's almost like camaraderie, like perfect strangers.
Everyone's there
standing
for the
in line.
same thing. Yeah.
You end up talking with people and you're learning their story, and they're like, "Oh, this is what I'm doing, and this is this is the game that I really love, and how have you played this, and blah blah blah." And then when it actually launches on June 5th or whatever, they're having GameStop's a midnight release, so they're like trying to bring that kind of thing back.
I love it.
And I'm like, that's fucking cool.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I have a sad story related to this. So I was into Crysis a lot. Crysis was kind of a small game compared to, you know, Modern Warfare.
Sure.
And so 3 came out, and I was super into 2. I played 1 a little bit.
I played so much 2.
Yeah, 2
was so good.
2 was peak. And I wanted to get 3, and like I was like, oh, maybe it's gonna be like a midnight release thing. Like maybe it's gonna like have some kind of thing like that. Absolutely not. I worked at Best Buy at the time as a member of the Geek Squad, and so I show up the day of release, and I can get into the store early because I have a way to get in. And like the video game, it wasn't even like out on the shelves yet. It was just like on some cart somewhere in the warehouse.
Yeah,
and I was like, it was at that moment when I was like, oh man, the things that I like, they're not important. It wasn't a midnight release thing. I just got there at 8 a.m. and walked into the warehouse and grabbed a copy and then paid for it and left. And I was like, okay, I'll play this game by myself now. It was sad.
Well, Crysis 3 was okay. So.
It was okay. Yeah, it wasn't.
It's not 2.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't.
All right, I think we got one more question for you, Bricky, before we move on to the after party. Here is I just kind of want a little bit of a breakdown, you know, of your hobby, because it sounds like that you enjoy like all the different sides of it. You seem like a well-rounded hobbyist, so good on you.
Thank you.
You pass.
You passed. You passed the test. Whew, it was close there.
I do like the lore, and we know that's a sin here.
Well,
he picked up on that.
no, nobody's perfect, you know. So, so my question is, like, if you were to break it down by percentages, one, which areas if you'd rank them, that part of the hobby you like the most to the part that you like the least, and then a general breakdown of how much of your hobby time, if it was a bucket, what percentage would be filled of each of those things.
Yeah.
I definitely enjoy playing the most. I consider the social aspect of playing Warhammer to be the most fun, because it's something that you don't get elsewhere. I love attending tournaments. I think anyone who has not attended a tournament in the last 5 years has the entirely wrong idea about them. They are not sweaty. They are not try-hardy. It is literally just game day. It's a bunch of like dads who get the weekend off with like the wife and the kids, and they roll up with whatever their army is, and they pound like margaritas, and they play 40K.
Okay.
And it's fantastic. I will highly recommend it as an option. You'll get your occasional tryhards, of course, but like compared to Magic, not in the slightest. You are there to sign a social contract with someone for 3 hours. Like you need to be a personable individual. So I probably would say like 60% of it would be like playing and just like the general aspect of playing the game. I really like it. I find it really fun. I have lots of armies, lots of different like variations. It's a great time. Past that, I'd say that like I do dabble in a lot of the games and the lore, so that but like that's not a thing that it's for work more than it is for like I don't just like go on the wiki and start reading stuff. Most of it's just for the podcast, so that's like maybe like a 10% or whatever. Building and painting are interesting because the act of doing it is not as much of a zen thing for me as I think it could be. And I blame that maybe on my space. I have no dining room table. It is just miniatures. It's only been taken up by everything. And it's not a great spot to like I don't have like a man cave. I don't have like a place with all my paints. I don't have a place where like I have my stuff and like a projector for like a TV. I don't have that. And so I don't have like a retreat to go into and be like I'm here to express myself creatively. Like this is the point of this area. And it's not work, it's not this, it's just for me. So I don't have that. And so I don't do it very often. But I will say the final touches of like painting something is very strong. It's something I enjoy the most. It's the getting there that's hard for me. I like to build. I find building just lovely because it's go by the numbers. You watch TV.
Very zeros and ones.
Snip, file, glue.
And the models are gorgeous, and when they're together and they're in your hand, it's a physical thing. You'll get a little endorphin hit.
Absolutely, it feels great. And then like the problem though, obviously, as you're building up a model, you can tell what you're doing. When you're painting a model, it looks like shit for 90% of the process. And then it comes into play at the end. And you're like, oh yes, that's why I'm here. And so, but like the whole 90% of the time I'm painting, I'm unsure. I'm like, is this right? Am I doing this right? I'm like, did I put too much layer on this? Like, oh, this looks bad. Like, is this supposed to look good now? And then I finish it. And I'm like, oh, this rocks. You know, so it's like that kind of thing.
I think a big part of that, and that's a great thing to bring up, is that feeling, everybody feels that. If you find the person you think the best miniature painter in the world, they also feel that.
I believe it.
I think it's just the more you can do the repetitions, the more you'll realize that feeling is something you just need to sit into, get comfortable in that feeling, and knowing that feeling isn't wrong, or you're not screwing it up, or you're not failing. It's just part of the process, and that's what gets you to the end, and that's what ends up pushing you to making sure you pull up the plane before it crashes into the ocean, kind of a thing, and that you'll get there, and that all of us, it's part of like the euphoric feeling you feel at the end of like, I did it, and this looks pretty good. Oh, I think I would change this next time, or I think I could do that better. I learned a bit about this, and so for the next time, I'm not going to have that gut wrenching feeling painting the white armor next time as much, because I could see I could do it. And that's, I think, part of the satisfaction of the hobby side is like, I don't know what it's going to be, but it always ends up working out in the end. You know,
it's almost like it's a skill.
I think having reps in just saying something is done and completing something definitely helps to like impact that feeling of fear of like, is this the right path? Is it going to look good? Obviously, getting all the way to the end and saying I'm done is going to help you get over that quicker. And so it just, more hours behind the brush helps. So skill.
That's the thing for me that I always think of. I see my first models and they look terrible. And I see my sisters and they look pretty darn good, and my daughters look pretty darn good, and I'm very curious to see how my Emperor's Children are going to look, because like that's
very detailed models.
Very detailed models, but like I'm going to really hit them with all the airbrush and save myself literal days of time for $100. And it's just going to be this like I'm very curious how it's going to roll through, and then from there it's just like then I'll have my next army done, and then I'll be like, make some changes here and there.
Yeah, absolutely. Are you a very time conscious painter? Are you like concerned with how long it's taking you to do something?
Not really. If I'm painting, there is nothing left for me to do in the day.
Okay.
Though I'll always I'll always have like Discord open because I got things to answer, for example. But for the most of the time, I'm just like, okay, I finished dinner at 7 p.m. What do I got today? Nothing's going on. I'll paint.
Okay.
And then that'll be the end of it. Though I will say I always kind of like setting up is always the thing that kind of holds me back. The 5 minutes, like literally, maybe not even 5 minutes of going and getting paper towels and getting water and getting that ready for some reason holds me back.
Sure.
And I don't know why.
I get
You
it.
need that dedicated space.
Yeah.
Yep. I really think I do. I need a dedicated space. And but once it's done, I'm like, this is worth it. But it's a little hard to just get there sometimes.
It is. Yeah, the first brushstroke is the hardest. Getting to that first brushstroke. Once you've done that and you're sitting down and your brush is wet and you're just like, oh, okay, we're going. And then it all kind of lifts off your shoulders. But that's exactly right. Whether you have a permanent spot or not, the sitting down to commit time to doing it is the hardest part.
Mm-hmm.
I'm probably going to force you to paint a model for me.
I would love to.
And it's going to be not fun.
Why?
Because I was thinking to myself, I was like, I have all these ideas
Yeah.
for models, right?
Okay.
Have either of you played Disco Elysium?
No, but I have a friend who freaking loves it.
Absolutely phenomenal game.
Okay.
But I was going to do like a Gene Stealer Cult Army about it because Disco Elysium is a very it's kind of an angry game. It's very a bit Marxist. It's kind of got a lot of that little.
Oh.
They talk a lot about like politics and things like that, communism, etc.
Okay.
But Gene Stealer Cult's obviously uprising. That kind of thing. And so in the game you have attributes. Blue is like mental, or purple is like empathy and like emotion. Yellow is like speed and coordination, and red is just like general physical. And so I was going to do all of my Gene Stealer cults, but I was going to shade their skin in the color that works. So aberrants are red, and like jackals are yellowish, and then the Magus is blue.
Yeah. That's cool.
And do that kind of thing. And I was like, what other things can I do? And I was thinking to myself, either of you play Balatro?
Oh, the
card game?
Card game, no.
So it was supposed to win Game of the Year last year, but it got snubbed. But it's all about little jokers and jokers in the card games, right? And like, if I force you to make me like some Joker Balatro based Harlequins with some checkerboard and stuff, you wouldn't hate me, would you?
Oh, okay. Oh, how long do we have?
You get 1 day.
I can try.
All right, perfect. That's all I needed.
I can try.
I'm a very meticulous, I don't know if you would call it anxious or stressed or high-strung painter. Like, I really get into the weeds with something, and so that can lead to me taking longer to paint something. But if I know I have a time limit, I'm pretty good at sticking to it, though. But it may not be as amazing as if I had, 40 hours, obviously.
I'm going to try to paint the second half of a Fugan, and I expect you to have a full checkerboard Harlequin by the time I'm done.
Okay, all right.
Time.
Yeah. All right, I have one more question as well. You're getting into Magic the Gathering. You've been deep into 40K for a long time. How are those games similar, and how are they different?
Oh, jeez. I don't know. I like building.
Okay.
Yeah, theory crafting, building,
Absolutely.
deck building, 100%.
I mean, honestly, man, I'm like you. My tastes are everywhere.
Right.
They're so random. Like, Balatro was my favorite game of last year, and it's a card building roguelite about poker.
Yeah.
And the year before that, my favorite game was Armor Core 6.
Okay.
And like, I'm playing like Blueprints right now, which is this brand new indie like game that I need to have a Figma board to understand.
Okay.
I just like all kinds of crap, man.
Okay.
And so Magic the card. So the reason I got the Magic cards, I got the pre-con decks, and I was like Warhammer. I was like, oh, cool, Warhammer pre-con deck and everything. And I played a ton of Legends of Runeterra.
Okay.
The League of Legends version of the game, and I really liked it. And so it kind of clicked with me immediately, and then I started thinking, what if I added this?
Yeah.
And then from there, like the little the scent of the pie with like the beckoning hand started coming, and I was like, oh no.
Okay.
And so now it's all that kind of stuff. Now it's like I see this card, and I'm like, well, if this card does this, then it works really well with this card. And then that card, and then I went to like a hobby shop in SoCal, and I got a bunch of singles and 33 hair apparents, and here we are.
Here we are.
So
yeah, and the turnaround on Magic too. It's like the hobby side we love in Warhammer. However, you can go to you can build your deck list. You can go to the store. You can say, I want these. Shuffle them.
Yep.
Sit down right now.
This will be $250.
Yeah, and I can sit and play, and we can play a Commander game in 1 to 2 hours, and I don't need to schedule a half day to get one game of 40K in with another dad or whatever. I can just who's at the store, my buddies or whatever, we do it, and then we can sit and play a game. So yeah, there's the turnaround in Magic in terms of from the idea phase to the testing, to the tweaking, to the back and forth, and the execution at the game table and the repetitions of the games is a much tighter loop. I think.
Yes, I think everyone knows that the biggest hurdle with Warhammer is the entry fee.
Yeah.
The entry fee and the entry time. Not like if you want to play 40K, that's one thing. But if you know, who knows if you want to build and paint? Like it's they're two in a sense opposing skills and
they really are
wants. And so I mean, you could always just commission and buy something, which is like totally valid. But for most people, you have to get into the whole each step. Whereas Magic, the entry fee is so much easier.
Right.
It's just get a bunch of cards, go through, you're done.
Yeah.
And I mean, yeah, there's a skill to learn there, but even so, it's. But at the same time, the amount of build crafting you have in Magic, I mean, it's like the Fortnite card game now, right? With the amount of stuff in it. Yeah, it's just like well, not just I mean like the amount of properties.
Oh yeah. Oh god, with the universes beyond, it's just
that's a whole conversation.
Fucking mess. Yeah. It's a whole other.
See, for me, like Warhammer, I think that's funny. Now, see, in the Warhammer world, if they ever did that, I would be upset because they play it so straight and so like dark and evil.
Right.
And that feels weird. For Magic, maybe it was that way, but me getting into it now, without knowing that, I'm like, put that SpongeBob SquarePants deck right into my face. Man.
Like
those cards are sick.
Yeah, it's silly, and it's like, oh yeah, but I mean, Magic's lore and the understanding of its universes and the planes and all that has always been like fairly. I mean, the amount of story and everything that they put into it is much lighter than what Warhammer does too. But yeah, God, there's a small part of me that the best possible future universe that we live in is where there's a fucking My Little Pony that shows up on like a Necron base.
It's gonna happen.
I mean that.
And it's just like
that's nightmare for me. I won't lie, but I am a big hypocrite for being like I'm excited about Magic being Fortnite, but don't do it to my thing. So I'm a hypocrite, but I'm kind of just accepting it.
Oh,
that's fair. They had Rich Garfield on the. I think it's what is it?
The Professor.
The Tellarium. Is that the name?
Tellarian Academy.
Tellarian
Lasagna
Academy.
guy?
And what was that? The what guy?
The lasagna guy.
The lasagna guy?
Garfield. Don't worry about it.
Oh,
It was a bad joke. It was a bad
the
joke.
original designer of Magic. And the question that was in the thumbnail was like, what do you think of Universes Beyond? And I didn't watch that video, but I am really curious what he thinks of this expansion of Magic in this way.
I mean, that's the YouTube game. Is the title and the thumbnail need to pose a question, and the video needs to answer the question. And that is posing a really strong question.
It's interesting. Yeah, the original designer, what does he think of this? That it's hugely divisive topic. Yeah, that's awesome.
Divisive. Interesting. All right.
Yeah.
Do you think it's not divisive?
No, I think it's divisive.
Oh, did I say it wrong?
I just never heard it said like that before.
Okay.
It's the English.
It's divisive
the
now.
English pronunciation.
Yeah.
There's an extra OU in there somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah. Daemons.
Oh, right. DAE. Oh, my God.
Oh,
DAE,
Lord.
Daemons.
Welcome to the end of the podcast. Thank you for listening all the way to the end. We appreciate your ears, but we don't appreciate you as much as we appreciate our guest, Bricky. Bricky, thanks for being here.
No worries, man. Thank you for having me on.
Absolutely.
It was fun to talk about the part of the hobby that I do a little less.
Sure.
And so it kind of gets me wanting to get back.
Yeah.
Once I get home. So we'll have the Emperor's Children army due to the tips and tricks of Scott, Brent, Casey, and John.
Nice.
Do it.
That's awesome. That's
Let's do
awesome.
it.
If you guys like the podcast and you want to support it, there are a number of ways you can do that. All things linked down below. But specifically, you can get access to an extended portion of the podcast where we go over extra stuff like new things we've tried out in the hobby, models that we appreciate from other painters, and we also give feedback to one of our patrons in that extended portion. That's all linked down in the show notes below. You can also find on there a Teespring where we have things like t-shirts, sweatbands, mugs, and another way to support the channel without having to spend your dollars is by watching our videos on YouTube whitelisted. We run an ad every 30 minutes, and watching episodes with those ads gets us a little bit of extra cash at no extra expense to you.
Yeah, in this episode of the After Party, we learned the average number of airbrushes that Bricky breaks per month. It's astoundingly high.
It's more than one.
We had a great time. I want to thank Bricky once again for joining us, and we're going to catch you next time on the
Flippity flop.